Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Mobi with Lifestyle with Dr. Mobi. And today we have an excellent guest, Cecilia Ward. She is really well profession in her profession. She is anger management specialist and behavior therapist. So let's learn from her about anger management. Cecilia, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic, Dr. Mobi. I am doing really good. Thanks for asking. And thanks for inviting me on your show. Super
Yeah.
excited.
Well, this is a topic really a lot of actually people ask me and they send me a lot of questions. So are you ready for a difficult session?
Okay, and so am I.
Okay, great. Okay, so some of the questions which I got from the audience already, because I told them that you'll be coming over,
Well,
and one of them was that tell us about, first of all, what is anger management, or what is anger? Pretty much, why people get angry.
okay, so I will say that anger stems from some type of deep rooted issue that most people have in their past, right? So we're not born out of the womb with anger. It is a learned behavior,
Mm-hmm.
either from what you've experienced slash what you have seen in your life. And so, from my experience in working with my clients,
Mm-hmm.
um, it is something that it's a learned behavior. We don't really know how to deal with conflict, and or we are just angry as a child growing up. You develop those angry habits and you really don't know where to, I would say, position them in your life. So you don't know which box for it to go into. So therefore you act in anger as if it's something that's natural to you, and that the behavior, a lot of times people think that that behavior is okay. So really it's a deep seated issue. And for me and my clients, I really like to take them back to where that anger stems from. So you got to do a little deep digging, right? A little self reflection to find out, okay, well, where did you learn that? What happened in your life that triggered that angry emotion that you
Mm-hmm.
haven't been able to set aside and move on with your life, or really learn how to deal with it, to live a more, I would say, peaceful life.
So it can actually even date back, like, so when we have newborn, they are always socially smiling, or if anything goes wrong with them, they start crying, right?
Yeah,
So the crying is one thing, but anger is the second thing, right? It's
yeah,
different.
yeah. Anger is different.
So I'm just trying to go back to basics, so kind of trying to see where we learn this, and maybe when you do with patients, you try to kind of go back and see where things went wrong. So,
Yes.
so there could be kids, showing anger
Mhm.
if they don't get something what they want, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
and if parents kind of reinforce that process, so then it imprints that into a behavior, right?
Yes. Yes. And like I said, a lot of people are not taught how to deal with those emotions, right? And so therefore, if you're not taught, we are to teach our children, right? And so if you're not taught, then you don't know how to, when you get angry or something doesn't go your way, you don't know how to process that. And
Mhm.
so a lot of us grow up just with just these angry feelings. For me, I'll just make it personal. For me, I grew up in a household that violence occurred,
Mhm.
right? And I was angry growing up as a kid. I was angry and I didn't know how to process that. I didn't know how to deal with it. And so I learned that when something doesn't go your way, this is how you behave. This is how you react. You scream, you yell, you fight. And so that was a learned behavior for me. Plus, I was just angry at the situation. Didn't have a chance to talk about it and process it as a child. So therefore, I grew up. an angry person until I dealt with what actually happened in order for me to feel that way and not know how to process my feelings.
So you pretty much disassociated that feeling of whether it's a helplessness or whether it is being upset on things
Mhm.
from showing the anger part. So you could be sad, it can be, but or you could know, so you can learn some techniques how to diffuse that. So
Yes.
so you kind of come out of that situation. So the anger, and then then we can talk about difference. Then the other question we got was, what's the difference between men and women showing anger?
I have not seen a difference in the people that I have coached. I will say that um, anger doesn't have a gender. It doesn't have a gender.
Mm.
There's 5 stages to anger that we all go through. And stage one is just what happens, like what is triggering the thoughts in your mind. So a situation can happen, and it's up to you as a person to either process that situation with negative self talk, or you process the situation and really see that I'm going to say the situation is not that serious. So you have a choice in that matter to make a decision on your thought process, right? And so if I get into a situation, let's say someone calls me a name, okay, am I going to just walk away? Or am I going to begin to say, okay, they shouldn't have called me a name? Okay, so what next? Oh, okay, maybe when they called me a name, I feel like I'm worthless. Oh, this may trigger something from my past that I haven't dealt with. So that emotion comes on. If the negative self-talk continues to play in your mind, then you're going to continue to I'll go to step 3, to the explosive stage. So, step one, situation happens. You have to make a choice in step one how to react to the situation.
Mm.
That doesn't have a gender at all.
Okay.
That's a universal thing to make a choice around how you're going to react to a situation.
Mm.
Um, and then if you get to the explosive stage, that's where you see how the person is going to react. So there's abuse that takes place, whether it's physical or verbal abuse. There is, there could be sexual assault that takes place within that, as well as, so there's physical abuse, sexual assault, and there's a third one that I can't think of right now. But you act out in that rage that you're feeling, and like I said, that does not have a gender at all, and so that's what I would say. It doesn't have a gender.
So what you're saying is the situation happens, and that of course will not have a gender, because it can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
The only difference is, maybe they'll bully somebody more,
Mhm.
thinking they are minorities, or they are weak physically, or whether they are, so maybe there's some bullying difference between
Yeah.
different types. Then the second is then the how they process that, or how, so the negativity comes in with those thoughts. You kind of go and you feel inferior, or you think that means that to you, or that's what somebody meant, right?
Yeah.
And then the third you're saying is the processing part, where there's still no difference, that how you're going to react to that, right?
Right. And
Okay.
then you have the period where you feel you calm down, right? It normally takes around an hour plus. It just depends on, how you process things.
Mm.
After that calming down period, then you have people that feel remorse, right? I shouldn't have done that. Or, in the case of domestic violence, a lot of people will then give gifts, right? Because they feel that remorse. Let me give a gift in order for me to say that I'm sorry, to let the person know I didn't mean that. But if you have not dealt with the anger and how what your triggers are, you can go from, it doesn't matter what situation it is, if you have not dealt with that past situation that happened, that occurred, you will
Mm,
go right back to the explosive stage. So let's say you and I had a disagreement,
mm,
we get into a physical altercation. A lot of people, when they see that person again, they automatically get upset. You haven't let go and process the angry feelings that you've had. And so, since you have not resolved that issue,
mm,
you skip steps 1 and 2 and you go directly to 3. And so it happens all over again, right? And
mm,
so, I always tell my clients anger is a choice, but you have to learn how to manage that anger. And it comes just with practice and just really understanding, you know, why you're angry. And then understanding, the one thing I tell my clients is you can't control anyone. You have one person that you can control, and that's yourself.
mm, mm.
That's it.
That's true. That's true. So also tell me what is then, let's say we have angry situation at family. Where do you see, I'm sure you see a lot of clients with that, what effects it will have to both the wife and husband and kids?
A really bad effect. So I can speak from experience. I suffered from mental illness and I still do, but undiagnosed. I was angry, number one, because I had not dealt with my childhood experiences.
Mm,
Number two, I didn't know that I was suffering from mental illness. So my anger outburst had an effect on everyone that was in our household, every single person, whether you're a child, whether it was my husband, every single person, it had a negative impact. And so if that's the case, I always tell my clients that you have to go back and you have to, first of all, apologize for what's happened. Let the person know that you're taking steps to um, control your anger.
mhm,
And then the third thing is that you have to work through how that impacted those people within in your household, right? And if you don't do that, then your child has one or two paths to take. They can take the path of being angry and doing the same thing that you've done, or they can take the path of the exact opposite. I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to scream. But I will tell you this, that pattern of behavior, if I have different kids, so they experience things differently.
mhm,
One of my daughters, if you even think about yelling at her, screaming at her, she shuts down. She doesn't want a relationship with you. She just exits you out. She doesn't want that in her life. So therefore, she runs from any type of confrontation that involves yelling and screaming, right? So she doesn't like that. And then you can also create a fear in a child or fear in a young adult within your household and or an adult, because of your behavior. So that fear, right, will then either make that person either retaliate on that situation, or they feel like that same situation happens to them, is happening to them,
mhm.
or it will make them either fight or flight. So it has a huge impact on the people around you. That's why I always tell my clients you need to deal with the issue of anger, because it's not only impacting you, but those around you.
Okay. So, so your advice is, it's gonna definitely have negative impact on a lot of relationships and whether it's a husband, wife, or kids, or could be any of them, all of them could be.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
does that run in families? That personality.
The personality of anger, does it run in families?
Yeah.
It's not hereditary.
Okay, so it's not that, oh yeah, some people say, oh, I get really, I'm short wired, it's my genes, that thing.
I have not read anything that says that anger is in your genes. Now,
Uh,
people have a chemical imbalance, right? You have people who have chemical imbalances that,
mm,
one of the things is that they act out or whatever. But
mm.
either it's that or it's a learned behavior.
Okay, so it's a learned behavior. So
It's a
it's
learned
not.
behavior.
So for everybody who thinks that that they uh, are angry all the time is not. They were born with that. It's just they just developed into, and whatever change happened, you can trace back and kind of try to correct those thought processing. What you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
So tell us some of the techniques. Let's for audience sake. So let's say if somebody gets angry very easily and is get annoyed. Yes, one thing is of course trying to resolve things unresolved in the mind and kind of work with the therapist. But are there some things which everybody can start to get some tips and kind of work on their homework every day?
Yeah, definitely. I would suggest one of the exercises that I have my clients do is a circle of influence, right? And so you look at your circle of
Hmm.
influence. You're in the middle, of course. And
Hmm.
then what are the people, spokes, what are the people that are around you that could enter into that circle?
Hmm.
You need to determine, are those people triggers for you? Is it a
Hmm.
good relationship? Is it a bad relationship? Is it an okay relationship? But do those people cause you to easily get angry? Right. And if that's the case, then that person has to make a choice. I always say to make a choice to get in or get out, or determine whether, today is a good day to approach that person or to be in contact with that person or not. So that's one thing. So figure out, put that circle, draw those spokes, and then say, okay, these are the people that I come in contact with on a daily basis. Are any of these people in this circle a trigger for me in my anger? Number one. And if they are, make a choice to spend that time with that person or cut back on the amount of time with that person. The other thing is to really look at,
Hmm.
how do I react when I'm angry, right? And am I a short fuse person, or does it take me a while to get to the place where I am totally out of control, right? So, my suggestion on both ends really is to, when you feel yourself beginning that negative self talk, you can feel those negative self talks. Check and see if it's true. Is the negative self talk going on within your mind? Is it a true statement or is it not? You also go ahead.
So what you're saying is that the first stage was like you said, things happen, it happens. But the second one, where your brain processes negativity, that's why you can disassociate that uh,
Yeah.
from that. What you're saying.
Yes. Yeah. Another thing is just walk away. You can literally walk away from a situation.
Mhm.
It'd be hard, but practice walking away. If you're not ready to have a conversation because you know that it's going to make you angry or you're starting to get angry, walk away. If you're in a relationship with someone, a spouse or a significant other,
Mhm.
and you're in the same household, if you are getting into a conversation and the
Mhm.
conversation is beginning to make you feel as if your anger, I should say, your blood is boiling, you need to tell that person, I am going to walk away.
Mhm.
And you don't come back to that discussion
Mhm.
until you're able to have it in a calm manner.
Mhm. So
And so just walk away. But if you're going to practice this, let the person know that I will tell you I'm going to walk away and tell you that when I'm ready to rehash the conversation again. And that could be a day, that could be an hour, but you can walk away.
okay. And then other question I got, and probably I've seen also a couple of them, is some people who get angry, they either start smoking or they start drinking or both. and then or use drugs.
Go see a therapist.
Go see that.
Go see a therapist. Go see a therapist. You know, because that then goes from I am just angry to I'm angry and I'm self medicating, right? So I'm going to do drugs, I'm going to do alcohol so that the anger can um, be covered, you know. So I'm going to cloak the anger with this other chemical, you know, within my brain or within my body so it can make me feel a different way. You need to go see a therapist to deal with not only your anger, but also your now habit
Mhm.
that can then turn into something that is, you know, ongoing. Yeah, I've lived with a angry person that was an alcoholic. It was just not a good situation at
Mm.
all growing up. Not a
And then of course it creates two problems. One is, and then same smoking, they would just put on cigarette if they and then, I always tell them, that if you ever check your blood pressure and heart rate with smoking, it goes actually way up.
Mhm.
So then same thing. So, or some people could have start eating or start
Yeah.
or lose appetite. I mean, those are the some of the manifestation, mishandling or maladaptive way of dealing with stress or anger, right?
Mhm. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Also, I'd like to ask you, then becomes important topic of abuse and verbal, and could be those are the, now you get referral from a lot of, I'm sure, patients who have these anger management problems,
Mhm.
could be professionals too, actually.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of, do you get a lot of medical professionals?
Not medical professionals, but I do get a lot of clients at all different ages,
Mhm.
all different walks of life. So whether you are, you know, a blue collared or white collar professional, whether you have a lot of money or you don't have a lot of money,
Yeah.
you know, so I see different clients because they really are at a point. Most people that I see, they're at a point that it is impacting themselves and their families. And that's where they want to come in, and they're just tired of being angry. So that's when they come in and they want the assistance on how to deal with anger. And normally, I will tell you, doctor, that when people find out that I'm an anger management specialist, and this is not something that is court mandated, because a lot of courts mandate people to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
teach, you know, anger management, but they're like, oh my gosh, like they really exist. Yeah, they really exist. You know, and then they start to say, oh, my brother needs anger management courses, or my sister, or my husband. I'm like, okay, but you can't force a person to, you know, to take on a, you know, counselor for anger. That person has to be willing and ready to at that point in time. But yeah, it's across the gamut
Mm-hmm.
of
Yeah, I
people.
think I remember I watched movie. If you remember that movie, I think where the actor was forced to go through anger management course by the judge. So I think yes, and then he had to. Of course, the judge mandated that, otherwise he'll be sent to jail for extra time. So a lot of, I mean, we are in hospital. I see many times, these happening. Lot of certain, medical profession also show a lot of anger towards, their residents or their,
Mhm,
the junior staff or the.
mhm.
So does that, but nobody, can force them to counseling.
Exactly. And some people think that it's, you know, this is okay. This is how you treat people. You
Yeah.
know, learned behavior. This is how you treat people. Or someone has never said to that person, you know, the way that you're treating these people are wrong, right? In the Fortune 100 companies that I've worked for, um, you have a lot of leaders that feel that, this is how you should lead. You should lead with
Yeah.
the, with the strong hand, and you don't need to be happy every day. You need to come in and you need to have a stoic face. And these people need to know you don't want to push me the wrong way, because if you do, then it's gonna be brutal. And so in corporate America, people have abused people just by their words. Like, abuse is just not physical, and it's just not emotional. It's verbal. You can have it's verbal abuse based on your anger. And so even calling someone, as simple as calling someone fat, that's verbal abuse. People don't want to be called out of their names, and so therefore, like I said, in corporate America, abuse is very common. Verbal abuse is very common. And
Yeah.
people think that they need to rule with an iron fist. Then you don't need to. You can come in and be happy and be joyful and still get the same results from people. But they feel like they have to have that, about them. Like, yes, you don't want to push me the wrong way, because if you do, then I'm going to get angry and this is going to be the result of it.
Mm,
Okay.
mm. And
That's
that
good.
you mean like a boss look? They don't need that.
Yes. Yes.
They
Yes.
don't need the kind of bossy look and then pretend that they are. And it happens, we see also in the hospital, certain
Mhm.
specialty would do that. How does that they are? I mean, you do. So we used to teach, staff actually for these team building and so forth. So there were few, certain specialties will come and they just harass everybody and make fun of all the staff. And so when they will come, you'll see there's a pin drop silence,
Yes.
even the patients and everybody, nobody wants to even talk to them. They just don't come. So like a hurricane. that come.
Exactly. And so you've exerted your position
Mm.
over someone, and you believe that you can treat them any kind of way, and that should be okay.
Yeah, that's sad, but that's how it's
Yeah.
done. Okay, well, thank you. It was a pleasure learning, and hopefully, it has helped a lot of my viewers. And any final thoughts you'd like to share?
I would just say that if you are struggling with anger, just go get assistance, because it's so important for you to live a more, I would say, more joyful life. It's important for your friends and for your family and those that are around you. The anger management process is, it takes weeks, but it's easier than what you may think that it is. So go seek help, because help is out there.
Okay, yes, and that is also same advice that don't try to read yourself. I mean, you can do certain things for sure. Avoid alcohol, avoid smoking,
Yes.
avoid those situations which really kind of fuse you. So yes, you can do those, and then then maybe try to, of course, make sure sleep good, because if you don't sleep well, you will be very moody. So
Yes.
sleep and eat better for sure. Those
Yes.
things you can do, but beyond that, you should definitely consult somebody specialist. Thank you for coming. It was pleasure.
Welcome. All right. Have a great night.
You too.